In the last lecture, we detected this error when we changed the value of our dropdown. It is related to our validation check in the contact data container. There, in check validity, we check if rules required. The problem is rules. What does this get? What does rules, this argument, refer to? Let's have a look at where we call check validity. We call it in the input changed handler, and we pass the update form element value, and for rules, updated form element validation. Now, the thing is, this validation object doesn't exist for the dropdown for delivery method. So if we then try to access required on something which doesn't exist, we get an error. Two ways of fixing that. The first way is simply add an empty validation object to the dropdown control. Now accessing validation required will not fail but simply return undefined. I like this way a lot because now all our controls are set up equally. They all have a validation property and a valid property. And if they don't need validation, then it should just be empty. This is why I like this approach. Now, the alternative would have been to also add a check in check validity and see if rules, if this is truish, which it only is if it is defined, and if it is not truish, so by adding an exclamation mark, to simply return true then. So always return true for the check validity result if no validation rules are defined. We can of course also implement both for double security, but again I like the approach up here by adding this empty validation object the most because it makes all controls configured equally. Now with this added, if I save this, now we can change the drop-down value again without getting errors, as you can see.